Today I'm continuing my adventure series by giving you a look at and installing the MAGPUL MS1 Padded Sling. In my adventure series I share my love of the great outdoors, and in this case we're looking at some shooting sport subjects. At Stiles Automotive I do general automotive work, and I've done several military videos. If you find this video interesting, be sure to subscribe and watch the other videos. First, let's take a look at what I ordered, and then we'll talk about how I plan to configure it, and I'll show you how I install this sling and how I like it configured. First of all, the MAGPUL MS1 Padded Sling. MAGPUL says this is a multi-mission sling system, meaning that it can be configured in different ways for different uses, but primarily this is a weapon sling for a rifle. A look at the back of the sling package and a list of the features. I was going to configure this so that I could make it either a single point sling or a double point, but I've decided to just stay with the double point. I really like this feature of rapid one-hand adjustability with a low profile slider. I really like that. In the short period of time that I've owned the sling, I really like it, and it's going to give versatility, and I'll show you that later as I set up the sling. I also have two of the MAGPUL Paraclips. I plan to use one, and then I have the M-Lok quick disconnects. Plan to mount that on my handguard. For the Paraclip, I plan to attach it to the sling adapter end plate at the base of the lower receiver. I feel like that keeps the attachment point out of the way of my right hand. However, I think there's a lot of advantages to these M-Lok quick disconnects. I think they're small and they're going to be out of the way on the handguard, and I think they'd probably be much quieter when you're operating the rifle and walking through the woods than the Paraclips. I feel like the Paraclips will give you a long life over the quick disconnects, and these Paraclips have a locking feature which is very nice. This is the MAGPUL QDM swing swivel. It's about twice as much money as the regular one. It has the two buttons instead of the one in the center. I feel like this one would be a lot harder to inadvertently actuate when you don't want to. So I opted for this one. It's a very nice product. Of course, all the MAGPUL components are made in the United States. Here's a list of features for the quick disconnect. Be careful opening up the package. I know how excited people can get. I feel a little excited myself. Very nice product. Take a look at the stitching. It's very even, no loose threads, no threads hanging. Very nice webbing. Happy with the coyote brown color. It's very well packaged. Made in the United States. I'm very happy with this MS1 Padded Sling. Here's a first look at that low profile slider. I'll show that in operation a little later in the video. MAGPUL boasts that this QDM sling swivel, part number MAG543, has a 2-point engagement, prevents accidental release. It's optimized bail for sling management, fits all standard size QD cups, designed to work with 1 1/4 inch slings. It's got a durable finish for high strength and corrosion resistance. Very nice product. To operate it, you just push the two tabs down or to the left in the video here on the screen, and then it actuates the balls It has 4 little balls to positively lock it into the mount. Speaking of the spring mount, let's open up the M-Lok QD sling mount. It's made out of anodized mil-spec aluminum. It comes with Allen head, or more properly called socket head bolts, and then little T-nuts to mount to your M-Lok handguard. Check out the little tabs on the mount that go into the slot on the M-Lok slot. Very nice. I didn't realize the swivel would do this. The mount only allows the sling swivel to go about a quarter of a turn. That helps you control your sling so it doesn't swivel all the way around and become twisted. That's very nice. I like it. Didn't realize it did it. This Paraclip clip style sling attachment is very nice. Not only is the way the lip and the hook attach very nice, but it also has a locking feature. Again, on the stock end, I want to attach my sling using the sling adapter end plate here on the back of the lower receiver and on the buffer tube. This collapsible stock also has a point where you can use a quick disconnect, but I'm choosing not to use that. I think it'll get in the way. I want to minimize the impact of the sling getting in my way while I'm using the pistol grip. And then on the front, I want to mount to my hand guard using this M-Lok slot and the M-Lok adapter or sling mount. This puts the sling mount far enough forward that you can get your hand in between the sling mount and the magazine well. I like to carry the AR style rifle right where the slip ring would be on the old style handguard. On this free floating handguard, you don't have a slip ring, but you have an open area here with the sling mount this far forward. And yet I'm positioning it far enough back that it's not going to interfere with your hand on the front of the handguard when you put your hand in front of the sling mount. I didn't mention it when I first started showing the rifle, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a little paranoid. Covering up the serial number on my rifle. Don't want to show my serial number. I do that with my automotive videos too. I don't like to show license plates and license plate numbers on my videos. To install these QD mounts, they require a 5/32 hex wrench. Now the outside of this instruction sheet is really for the QD mount, and the inside is really for a Picatinny rail mount. But look at this, it shows a detail of the T-nuts, which is very interesting. As you turn your bolt and tighten into that T-nut, the T-nut actually turns and locks itself into place. That's very nice. MAGPUL includes a torque spec for either a metal or polymer handguard. So let's get out a 5/32 inch hex wrench and install this quick disconnect. there's no need to remove the handguard from the rifle. Just pre-install the bolts and nuts on the QD mount. Then the nuts will slip right into the M-Lok slot on the handguard. I'm trying to keep my big hands out of the way, but there's nothing special about this. Just use the Allen head and tighten up the screws. 35 foot-pounds is what they're supposed to be torqued to. Make sure you got them good and tight. One thing I am doing is positioning the mount to the rear of the slot. I figure that the sling is going to be pulling on that mount, so there is some adjustment in that slot. So I'm moving it to the back side of the slot, figuring that the sling isn't going to want to pull it that way anyway. Here I'm just playing with the handguard to make sure I like the sling mount placement, and I think I'm happy with it. From looking at the Magpul website, this will be the rear, where I'll have this attachment. Let me go ahead and assemble that. And then where the MS1 adjuster is at, that's the front. So that's where I'll have the swivel attached here. So let me do that first. For the front, I started out by going under, and then later I changed it. I took it apart and went back over so that I could double loop it through that buckle. There's enough buckle there that you can fit 3 passes underneath it. When setting up the sling, you just have to take into account the padding. Of course, on the regular slings, you probably don't have to worry about the padding, but you want to make sure the padding is positioned how you like it on your shoulder and back. So with this MS1 low profile adjuster, you want to have as much adjustment in the sling as possible. So you want to make the front as long as possible. I'm positioning the thumb release, the thumb detent on this Paraclip to the inside so I can easily press it with my thumb. And of course, it probably goes without saying, but what you're doing here isn't permanent. You're not like you're sewing the sling together. You could always unbuckle it and reconfigure it in the future if you want to, or possibly use the sling for a different rifle if you prefer. I prefer to have a sling for each rifle, but if you're not happy with the way you have it buckled, of course, you can always redo it. Again, the thumb detent on the inside, and then I'm locking the Paraclip. Here you can see how easily that low profile slider works. It's very nice, it's smooth, it's easy to use with one hand, and it seems to lock the sling in very well when you're not when your hand isn't on the slider. This is a look at the sling attached to the rifle, and you can see that low profile slider right here. It's all the way adjusted tight. I'd like the sling to be a little bit tighter so it's more, the rifle's a little bit more at the ready here. But the slider allows you to have the sling be tighter, and then you can have the rifle be tighter and then loosen the sling so you can bring the rifle up to your shoulder. Or if you prefer to carry it, then take the weight off the sling so that you're ready with your rifle to engage targets. And of course, you get much more control. And I know it's a preference thing. I have my sling attached at 2 points. If you attach it at 1 point, you have a lot less control with your sling. So I have my hands free now. My rifle stays where I put it, and my muzzle is pointed down there. It's not pointed at my foot like a single point sling will be. Let me go switch to a single point. I'll attach a single point here at this backing plate, this ambidextrous sling mounting point. This is just a cheap single point sling with a very cheap connector. Disconnect my MAGPUL sling and let it hang. So now you can see how the weapon just flops. I know that gives you a lot more freedom of movement with your rifle, but I don't like that it just hangs, and I don't like my muzzle pointing at my foot. Another thing that I like to do with my rifles, a lot of times, it's old school M16 rifle carry. When the old school M16 rifle was attached to the butt of the weapon and then attached to the front sight post with the sling swivel in the front of the weapon up here, is you could renegade the weapon. Just put it over your back and at a diagonal with either the muzzle up or muzzle down, and carry it that way. It's convenient. And if you have the sling tight enough, it'll ride across your back very nicely, and it won't jiggle around much. I also like to do that with my rifle. So you can see what I did with the buckles. Instead of just staying with them under, I looped them over and then came back so that I could have my tail on the outside. I did that both on the front here and on the rear. So I have the tail on the outside and I looped back through. So there's enough freedom of movement, there's enough space inside these buckles to bring it back through one more time and keep it on the outside. Now that concludes the video. If you found it helpful, let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the great outdoors.